For some of you, this might seem like deja vu because I did upload a tutorial for this look the other day, but took it down immediately. And so let me explain myself before I move on with this tutorial so that you guys, or those of you who did watch it, aren't wondering what happened. Basically, I mean, the story is really embarrassing, but really funny at the same time. So I'm hoping all of you can just laugh about it because we all make mistakes. I'm not perfect by any means, and I found it to be really hilarious, but when I told Kyle, he's the one that kind of encouraged me to take the video down, and I was like, why? It's funny. And he's like, no, you need to take that down. So basically what happened is this. In my favorites video, I mentioned that there was a product that I had used in the tutorial that was making me look shiny. And I said I would explain it in the tutorial. And in the tutorial, the one I uploaded and took down, I said, I feel like the Hoola bronzer is what's making me look oily. And let me just rewind for a second. I had self-tanned that morning, so in order to match my foundation to my body, I had to add a bronzer. I usually like to add like a liquid bronzer to my foundation in order to make up for the lack of color, or to just add a little boost of color to an existing foundation. And when I was doing the tutorial, I was like, oh, I need something to add color to this foundation, and reached for the first thing I saw, and the first thing I saw was this little Hoola bronzer. If you guys are familiar with Benefit, you know that Hoola is their main bronzer, and they recently came out with a bunch of different products revolving around the Hoola bronzer. So everything has the name Hoola on it. And this little guy came as a sample in a holiday package that I got, and in there was like 12 different little sample sizes of a bunch of their products. And so I saw this and I was like, oh perfect, this is a liquid bronzer, I'm gonna use this to darken up my foundation. This is not a liquid bronzer. This is freaking lip gloss. And I did not know that it was lip gloss until one of my subscribers commented, oh, I think it is the bronzer that's making you look shiny because it's not bronzer, it's a lip gloss. And I mean, I found it freaking hilarious. And at this point, the video had about 1,000 views. And that's when I told Kyle, and he was like, no, you have to take that down. And I decided to take the video down not only because Kyle told me to, but I didn't want to give you guys false information. So in that video, I didn't mention that it was a lip gloss. I didn't find out till after it had been uploaded and was live on my channel. And I didn't want you guys to get confused and start thinking that this was a liquid bronzer. And I know a lot of you guys like to purchase things or get really excited about certain products. So I didn't want you guys to walk into a Sephora and ask for the Hoola liquid bronzer and look at it and be like, this is not what she used in the video. So I didn't want to confuse you guys by any means, and I didn't want to use a product in a way that it's not meant to be used. I don't recommend slathering your face in lip gloss. And so that was the main reason I took it down, and also because I also didn't want to start a battle in the comment section, because I know that people would start correcting one another or just start fighting about it, and you know how things like that spiral downward. So in order to avoid all that, I decided to take it down, and rather than re-upload the video and not include that, I decided to just refilm the whole thing so that way you guys get the entire tutorial from start to finish without me taking out any steps, so that way you guys don't get confused. And also I personally feel better about having refilmed it and redoing the video and taking that little extra time to do that versus just chopping up my previous video. So I hope you guys understand. I hope we can all laugh about it. I think it's hilarious. I'm sorry guys, but I promised all of you who did watch that video that I would re-upload it, so here it is. And I'm actually kind of glad I refilmed it because this look came out way better than the other one for some reason. And I actually played with my lighting and camera settings, and I feel like everything's a lot crisper and better looking. So if you already saw it, I hope you guys are willing to watch it again. And if you haven't seen it and are interested, keep on watching. I already went ahead and filled in my brows using the Anastasia Brow Wiz in the shade Medium Brown. So now I'm just gonna prime my eyes using the Mercier Eye Basics Shadow Primer in Cotton. It's a lot lighter, so it's really gonna make the lighter pink shadow on the lid pop. I'm gonna start by first patting it in with my finger. And once I get over that, I'm just gonna take my Beauty Blender and further blend that out. I'm also gonna make sure that I drag it out towards this direction because I'm gonna be winging out my shadow in a V shape going in that direction. I'm going to be dusting my Mercier Transluscent powder from the brow bone down to the crease, but not on the lid, just to set that primer and also to make blending of the eyeshadows a lot easier. I'm not applying it to the lid because I find that if you set with powder on the lid and then try and apply an eyeshadow there later, it's not as vibrant as it should be. And I'm just using a Morphe M441 brush to apply the powder. The first shadow I'm going to be applying is Sorbet by Makeup Geek. It's one of their newer matte shadows that they came out with. And I'm just going to pack that onto my lid using a Smith 247 brush. Next, I'm going to be applying Unexpected, also by Makeup Geek, to the crease using a Smith 230 brush. And right underneath where I placed that shadow, I'm gonna go in with Makeup Geek's Vintage and just start blending it up towards this color. I'm using that same Smith 230 brush. And notice when I get to the end, I'm just sort of flicking that eyeshadow outward. And now I'm just gonna blend before going in with any more color. I'm using a Smith 232 brush to just blend out the edges, make them look a little softer and more blended out. Using a Sigma E70 brush, I'm gonna apply another Makeup Geek shadow. This one's called Cherry Cola, and I'm gonna apply this just to the outer V of the eye, and it's gonna start creating that ombre effect. And the last shadow I'm gonna be applying is Bitten, again, Makeup Geek, and I'm gonna use that same Smith 247 brush I used earlier to apply the really light color, to apply that right up against Cherry Cola. This is the only shadow of all the shadows that I'm applying that has a slight shimmer to it. It just gives a really cool effect to that ombre sort of look. So just right here. And for this color, you're just lightly feathering it on. You're not really packing on the color. And you're feathering towards the darker Cherry Cola shadow. And I'm just gonna grab my Smith 232 brush again and blend out these shadows, especially this outer edge, because right now it looks a little too sharp and I want it to look a little softer. All right, so I know the eyes look sort of messy right now, but that's totally fine. I'm gonna go back and blend some more, but for now I'm gonna work on the complexion. And I'm actually gonna start by applying a cream highlighter to the high points of my face to give me that lit from within type of glow. I'm gonna be using, I don't know which highlighter I'm gonna be using. Definitely not the Hoola lip gloss. I'm gonna use my Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in the poured formula, which is basically a cream highlighter, and a Luxie 181 brush to highlight those high points. For foundation, I'm going to be using my Natasha Denona Face Glow Foundation, and I'm going to be applying it with a beauty blender just so that I can pat it on right on top of that cream highlight. So I'm dispensing it onto the back of my hand and then just kind of dabbing it on. I'm not going to be using concealer. Instead, I'm going to be using my Makeup Forever Ultra HD Foundation Stick as concealer. It has a really great coverage and the consistency is just amazing. So the other day I used it as concealer and really liked it, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to pick it up on the other side of this Luxie 181 brush and apply it to the areas that I would normally conceal and highlight. This brush is actually a part of the Jadey Wadey 180 Glam set. Is that what it's called? Brush set? That girl is seriously so sweet. She's so awesome, and she gave me a set of her brushes at Gen Beauty, and they're so good. So good. And they're all synthetic, I think. Yes. And now I'm gonna go ahead and just set with my Mercier Transluscent powder. Oh, actually, I just bought the RCMA No Color powder thanks to Kathleen Lights. Me and Jay Kissa went to Namie's here in LA. They still have it and purchased the bottle. So I'm actually gonna go get that and try it because I haven't used it yet. So this is the powder right here. The only thing that sucks is that it has nowhere to dump it out onto the lid. So I'm just gonna dump it out on my paper towel. And I'm still gonna use that beauty blender to apply it to my face. I'm excited to try it. I haven't tried it yet. I really like this powder. I feel like it's really light. It it doesn't feel heavy on the skin, so I'm gonna keep playing with it. I really like it as of right now for a first impression, so thank you, Kathleen Lights. Like I said, I got mine at Namie's. I think it's sold out everywhere, but Namie's does do online orders or phone orders, so if you give them a call, you could probably order it from there too. So now that I've set with powder, I look really pale, so I'm gonna go ahead and bronze up my skin. I'm gonna be using Endless Summer from the Too Faced Little Black Book of Bronzers. I was told that this is limited edition. I got it over the holidays or during Black Friday. But they do all come individually, so if any of these colors interest you, they are sold individually. And I'm gonna be using a Smith 118 brush to apply it to the contours of my face and a little bit all over to make up for the lack of color. And to contour my nose, I'm gonna be using another brush from the Jadey Wadey 180 brush set with Luxie. It's brush number 182. I believe it's called the Nose Perfector. I really love this brush for contouring the nose. It's just the perfect shape. So I'm gonna pick up that same color and then apply it to the sides of my nose. And I actually added a little too much bronzer to the sides. I'm just gonna blend it out with a Morphe M441 brush. If you need help with blending, you can also pick up some powder and then blend. So I'll just pick up some powder and then blend right over it. For blush, I'm gonna be using Pink Leopard, also from the Too Faced Little Black Book of Bronzers. Again, these are sold separately. And I'm using that same Smith 118 brush to apply it to my cheeks. And for a highlight, I'm gonna be using Crushed Pearl from the Anastasia Glow Kit and a Smith 112 brush. I'm also gonna be using that same highlighter on the inner corners of my eyes, and I'm gonna apply it with a Luxie 217 brush. Just a tiny bit because this entire eye look is pretty much matte, so I don't want the inner corner to be too intense. And then before finishing off the eyes, I'm just gonna grab a really large fluffy brush and sort of just blend all the powder products I currently have on my skin. So my contour, or bronzer, blush, and highlight. So I'm using a Luxie 502 brush, and I'm just kind of doing little buffing motions. This just makes sure everything looks really well blended, especially because I felt like the blush was looking a little sharp, and so was the highlight, so I just needed to blend it out a little bit. To finish off the eyes, I'm just gonna be repeating the exact same shadows that are in the crease to the lower lash line. So I'm gonna start off with Unexpected, and I'm gonna apply that to my lower lash line with a Sigma E45 brush. And then with the Sigma E21 brush, I'm gonna apply the color Cherry Cola really close to the lash line, especially towards the outer V of the eye. And again, I'm picking up my Smith 232 brush and just blending all the way around the entire eye. So I'm blending the shadow up top and also along the lower lash line. So last time I did this look, I didn't do any false lashes. I didn't even do eyeliner. I just felt like the ombre eyeshadow was a statement piece, so I left it pretty simple. But this time around, I'm applying some lashes. These are really easy to apply. They're the Kiss Trio Lash. I think these are considered drugstore. And I'm just applying a couple. It's easy because they come in sets of 3, so you're not sitting there forever applying a bunch of individuals. You can do them in sets of 3. So I'm just gonna apply a couple of these to kind of add a little oomph to the look. And once that glue is done drying, I'm gonna go ahead and apply my Benefit They're Real mascara. With individual lashes, I always do them before mascara, so that way when I apply the mascara, it sort of blends them in together. And I'm also gonna be applying this mascara to the lower lashes. In the original photo of this look that I posted on Instagram, the color I had on my lips was Anastasia's Dusty Rose with Veronica on the outer edges. However, I know how difficult it is for some of you guys out there to find those specific Anastasia liquid lipsticks. I think they're currently being reformulated or something like that, which is why they're not available, but they are coming back is what I've been told. So instead I decided to use OFRA's Pasadena and Manhattan together for this look. In my favorites video, the only color I had on my lips was Pasadena. Alright guys, that completes this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe so I see you in the next one. Bye guys.